Chapter 3 is about elements and symbols. In this chapter, we will talk about elements and symbols, the periodic table, the atom, the atomic number and mass number, isotopes and the atomic mass. We'll discuss about electrons and the arrangement of the atoms. We'll do orbital diagrams and electron configuration, and we'll do trends in the periodic properties. Elements are building blocks of matter. They are pure substances that cannot be separated into anything smaller without losing the properties of being that particular element. They are represented into letters. We could have two letters or one letter. When we only have one letter, is uppercase. When we have two, the first one is uppercase, the second one is lowercase. Some of the elements names come from Latin, like for example iron. The symbol is Fe, is from ferrum in Latin. Some names come from their common properties. For example, mercury comes from Greek, which means liquid silver. Some have their names because of the color. For example, chlorine comes from Greek chloros, which means light green, and this is the color of chlorine. Some of the names are German. For example, nickel in German means devil's copper. Other come from the people that discover, like curium comes from Pierre and Marie Curie, and other comes from places like polonium comes from Poland, and like that. So let's select the correct symbol for each one of the following elements. For calcium, nitrogen, iron. Second part of the question says select the correct name for each symbol. So we have S, that is sulfur, P, that's phosphorus, and Ag is silver. So at this point in the periodic table, you should be able to look at some of the elements and by looking at the symbol, predict what is the name of that element. Elements were originally ordered by their mass, but then the scientists noticed that some of the properties kept repeating. That's why they arranged them in this shape of the periodic table. Each column represents a group. For example, group 1 is the group of the alkali metals. This group is alkali earth metals. This group over here is the halogens, and this one over here is the noble gases. Groups are the columns on the table, and they have very similar properties. Periods are the rows in the table, and what happens is they have similar sizes. So as we say, group 1 is called alkali metals. They have lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, and cesium. Group 7 or 17 is the halogens: fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Group 18 or 8 are the noble gases: helium, neon, argon, and krypton. In the periodic table, we can define three broad groups. Metals. They are shiny and ductile. They conduct electricity and heat. Then we have the non-metals. They are poor conductors poor conductors of heat and electricity. And then we have metalloids, which do not behave like metals, neither non-metals, so they are in between. So let's identify each one of these in the periodic table. So for this, when you are studying, it's important that you have the periodic table with you, and you can identify which ones are the metals and which ones are the non-metals. Sodium is a metal. Chlorine, non-metal. Silicon is a metalloid. Iron is a metal. Carbon is a non-metal. Which elements will have similar properties in the periodic table to silicon? So what you're going to do, you're going to place this in the periodic table and see if any of these elements is in the same column or the same group as silicon. When you place all of them, you realize that carbon is in the same group as silicon, therefore it will have similar properties to silicon.